what, where, and why in terms of AI, specifically with the use of Copilot, some of the key concepts. We'll go through some examples that we use, some of the guardrails and risks, and then finally just key takeaways from this. So I guess first question is, for those who don't use it or haven't used it on a daily basis, like, do you trust AI? There's a lot of hype behind it. There's a lot of I guess, hope behind it in terms of what it can do, but should we really give it the full keys and turn it over, right? So I'll start with a little bit of a simpler, funny example, but I need to wash my car and the car wash is 100 meters away. Should I walk or should I drive? Everyone in the walk camp, everyone in the drive camp. Now, those of you who are part of, would just simply know we need to drive, right? How are you going to wash the car otherwise? But our response is no, walk. Does that make sense? Of course not, right? Now, of course, this is where some of the reasoning behind it, the reasoning engine behind some of the large language models may cause some of the issues. You have some, we see headlines almost now on a weekly basis of AI, hallucinating or causing some untruths. And this is some of the things we'll have to go through as we kind of look at how we can properly prompt and how we get the right outputs out of this. So are you sure we shouldn't drive to the car wash with all the facilities? Yeah, because the car wash is only 100 meters away. How I wash the car? You won't wash by walking alone, and it starts to correct the thinking. So where is it? The volume of work is growing, and especially in my area, there's more and more that are asked upon us. So the volume of work is growing, but the constraints are still remaining in place. It's not like we're hiring more people. It's not like we're given extra people to do extra things. So we took a look at AI as a capability shift and being able to offset not just the work, but looking at, and not replacing legal judgment, but looking at how it can actually aid us in doing some of the work to help us take advantage of some of the things it could do, but maybe in a smart manner. Now, we'll focus a little bit more on Copilot, but it's typically for those who have it on their enterprise. It's already there. It's embedded into Words. It's embedded into Outlook and Teams. It's a nice like rainbow icon, usually at the top right of some of your tools. For those who don't have it, there are free Copilot tools available, but we'll kind of go through some of the caveats with that. So many organizations are starting to pick this up, and unfortunately, if you're someone like Kate, it's like heavily restrained. So you'll have to see what they offer. There are specialist AI tools out there. So there's e-discovery solutions. There are bespoke legal tools that are available that exist as well, and that's part of the AI world. And then there are general assistants. So ChatGPT that are public, Copilot, Perplexity, Claude are some of the more popular ones. There are chat-based tools. They're public and unsecured. It's great for planning a vacation, but probably would not recommend this for any client or sensitive information. The problem is when using a free product is that you are the product. It allows them to, I guess there's text written in there where they can train on the information that you give it. So you got to be really careful about like the information that you put into general assistance and not anything unsafe, or sorry, not anything unsafe, but anything is secure and that have a bit of confidentiality in it. Use what you have. Use what's in your workplace. So what it can do, it can draft initial correspondence. It can kind of take the context of your emails and start to outline your with a bit of instruction what you can give it. Summarizes along threads, especially when it's kind of been a lot of back and forth. It can do a first pass analysis if you give it the right commands. So what it needs is specific instructions. You can do iterative updates. So once you kind of get your first answer, you can kind of fine tune and go in deeper into certain points. And it can do a grammatical and spelling review. And so you can review some of the text for that. What it's not a partner, it's not a human, it's not a decision maker, it's not your lover. It doesn't have the right domain expertise. It's trained on the entire corpus of the internet and other information. So it doesn't really know where it's directing all that knowledge until you kind of specify how to use it. I will just put the latest on mute. And lastly, hallucinations are real, right? So hallucinations, as well as kind of like, I guess, the reasoning behind it, as we've seen in the car wash example, it uses statistical prediction to see what the next word might be. And in these cases, with a larger context, what the next paragraph or what the next page is going to look like. So it does need human verification and validation. You need to check all the sources. You need to check the links. And there are ways to make this better, but the hallucinations are a irrefutable part of the way that large language model works today. So, but for many of you guys already do this. It just AI changes how fast the first draft appears. So, some of the key concepts. How do we get it doing it the way we want it to? At our firm, we use a bit of a prompting framework called CARE, where we kind of set the context, where it sets the scene. This is typically the first thing we ask it, is what the request is. But again, it has all this knowledge. It doesn't know how to direct it, so it needs the right context, the right rules and the boundaries and the parameters that you want to give it. So, especially in our world, it's looking at what's the right jurisdiction, how are we focusing the question, and where do we want to answer, and some examples of what we want out of it. So what the output may look like, what we want and expect out of that output. Do we want it wordy, longer, with a professional tone? So all these things are, adjustable by the way we prompt or basically describe the request. So for prompt one, one of our construction lawyers was looking at a lacrosse building fire, and her first prompt did receive pictures of teams on fire, scoring, but what she was really expecting was the lacrosse building fire that was happening in Melbourne, and I guess you can really greatly change the results by the way we ask. So let's get into it. I will switch over to. Oh, sorry, no, I did have one more slide to go through. So we'll take a package of we'll go through an example, but we'll kind of look at making sure that we have the right relevant information, the jurisdiction, remove any generalizations, and then keeping the basically spelling the tone. It's all too easy to have a simple prompt and just default into draft an email explaining this. Now, this is probably overdone for what we need, but just to illustrate the example, this is the context that we're giving it. And we'll go through this case in a moment, but this is a publicly available case that we're using and we're sourcing. So my ask is kind of still this: draft an email, but explaining what the notice is about, what happens if they do nothing, the key deadlines. These are the rules I'm giving you, right? The neutral tone, do not advise the client what they should do, because that's not its job. Use Australian spelling, keep it under 400 words. Some of the example structure that I'm giving it is introduction, So let's see how well this this prompt performs. So I'll stop sharing for a bit whilst I load this up. And apologies while I clunkily switch over. I'm in my M365 Copilot app right now. And this is where most of the work kind of begins. There's a work tab, there's a web tab. Work grounds it based on your enterprise knowledge. So everything that's in OneDrive, it kind of typically picks off of. Web, you allow it to reach out to different sources. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my notebooks. Notebooks allow me to ground it, basically ask a similar group of questions, but based off a key set of documents. What I will do is I will add files based on this sports bet class action publicly available case. And I'm going to ground the information and my queries based on this. And while we wait for some magic to happen, well, this is the problem with live, right? Then you have to actually see it going into action. I had it running earlier, and I could jump to that, but you kind of don't get to see what's happening there. Maybe I'll take a question from Sam whilst we do this.
Yes, I thought I'd jump in while it's loading. Is this like a free license, Stephen?
This is an enterprise license for Copilot.
Okay. And do you know if there's any restrictions on, is this possible with free licenses or?
I don't know, but probably a good thing to check out.
Happy to follow up after.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what it's done is taken some of those files. I'll pop some of them up so you can see what I've loaded. I won't go in order, but this is a reply to the defense, an amended statement of claim that I've loaded, the order, and the defense and counterclaim file. Now, very quickly, you can kind of start to ask it questions. I mean, we can easily scan this, scan the document, but let's start with something easy. It's giving me the defendant and the and also the plaintiff. So helpful. But let's give it a few more challenging things, right? So let's take it through that example that we brought it through and paste the whole request in there. This will ground the prompt based on the 4 files that I've uploaded that are relevant to this. And it's starting to draft me an email. This also starts to reduce the chance of hallucination when you do ground the prompts into these files, and you can kind of see the summary and the key insights of what this has added. So, good start, right? I think the other quick features about this is, should you prefer an audio version of this? This can create that. I can create a presentation of that, and just so I'll have it generating. but I'll show you what it looks like in the background. Sorry, I'll show you one that's I've created today. It'll, of course, ask you to confirm a few things before you do it, but it immediately kind of takes information and gives you something that you could start with. Again, don't use this as a final copy, but make sure you're kind of using this to shortcut the way your thinking works, right? And it'll start to build something for you that really gets you that first draft, as we kind of mentioned before. Loading, loading. You can tweak the types of images, but this is the way it's kind of taken and ingested the information and looked at what might those chapters be. You can edit this, of course, you can move it around and you can change it. And again, it still needs a lot of work following this. So after I generate it, you can see how fast you can get to that first draft. I'll bring this back up later. The other useful tip is to, I'm just copying a prompt over, is to take some of the dates and turn them into meeting files. So especially I've loaded a court order in here. I can create a meeting invite file with description of this and this, plaintiff versus defendant, and where the summary is this. And what this will also do is generate a .ics file, which I can use in my Outlook calendar, or I could load into my Outlook calendar to then create the reminder for the court order in here as well. We'll watch that into action. I'm going to go back quickly to the presentation. So this is the generated presentation that it's done for me. And whilst, sorry, I know we're pretty tight on time here. I think the other piece of Copilot I find super helpful is in Teams meetings. In Teams meetings, I'm often worried about kind of struggling to keep up with notes, create the meeting minutes, and all the follow-up tasks that follow. But when you start to transcribe or record, like we are in this meeting, we start to generate meeting notes automatically. So this is a meeting that we had in preparation for this, where Kate and I kind of discussed what this meeting would be, what today would be about. It comes up with some of the meeting notes, and this was like a 10-minute interaction between us, but looks through, figures out what the details are, and even gives us the follow-up tasks as a result of that meeting. Now, it's perfect? No, but it really greatly speeds up the creation of that file note and some of the reminders of those actions. I'll go back to the generated presentation just to have one last view. And you can keep it, you can iterate on it, but it gives you a really good first start. In the interest of time, I'll just go back to some of the guardrails and risks. So you, whether you're a lawyer or how you're working in this, you're responsible for that initial prompt. The quality of that prompt really gives you a better step up into the generated draft, right? So quality of this improves the way that this works. Grounding it in material makes it better. Human is there for review and verification, and the output is your responsibility. So I can't emphasize enough that do not kind of take for granted the validation that's happening at each of the steps. Now, AI is not a miracle worker. It doesn't do everything you need it to do. It does not dilute the duty of care, which is still responsible by a human professional to do this. So by doing that, making the prompt slightly better, will it provide us a different answer? So do we walk to the car wash? Do we drive? Drive it. And I'll pause there, or I'll stop there. Sorry if I was going a little bit quick, but I'll pass it over to Megan and also kind of see if there's anything we can answer quickly in the chats.
No questions in the chat, Stephen, but if anybody has one, please pop it in now. Thank you for your presentation. That was really helpful. I was actually fiddling away in Copilot while you were talking, testing some of that stuff, particularly about creating calendar invites and things like that. So very helpful tips. We have recorded this. We will make it available to everybody for those who missed the start of the session. And on the 1st of April, we have our next session, which is going to be learning about intake tools. And Justice Connect will be sharing their AI-powered intake tool with us, taking us on a behind-the-scenes look. And we'll have Tom O'Doherty, their Head of Innovation and Connections, speaking to us next time. So if there are any questions now, if anybody wants to ask something, perhaps raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll say a final thank you to Stephen and wrap it up.
Thank you. I know that was a bit rushed, but hopefully it just kind of touches the tip of the iceberg, gives you a bit of confidence, know where to play around with it. Go try it out for yourself. I mean, good point for Sam in terms of what the free version offers and what the what your enterprise version offers. But please be careful in some of those free versions and just make sure you're being smart with the information you're using.
Just on that, Stephen, I was fiddling around with the free version because I don't have the paid for version, and you can do some of the things you talked about, but the PowerPoint presentation is only available in the premium version. Just noting that, but I'm not sure of the cost. Perhaps people can investigate that if they want to upgrade. All right. Oh, Leanne, you have a question.
Sorry, I just had to unmute. Not so much a question, but a comment just to make abundantly clear the distinction you just made there, Megan. Obviously, the free license version you were just testing then is open source and not secure, but the version that Stephen was taking us through is closed source and secure. Yeah. So just for those, I think that's just probably a very important distinction to make if people want to use the free tool. It's not a secure tool.
Yeah, it's kind of like ChatGPT then, hey? Like it's, yeah, you can't put any client data in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That was all I wanted to comment on.
No, very good point. Thanks, Leanne. It's a good point to make, and always be reminding ourselves what we can and can't do with data of our clients. Great. All right. Well, we might see you all again on the 1st of April. I hope so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.